Ever had one of those moments where you've kind of fumbled up your words, got them all garbled and out of order, kind of talking like Yoda, everything's in reverse sometimes? Well, when that sort of thing happens to me, I call it the what I wish I could have said syndrome. And as we meet Asaph in Psalm 73, he's having a what I wish I could have said sort of day. He begins strong, but as we get started, we realize that he has to go back to grammar school. He gets the parts of speech all jumbled up again. Let's see if we can take the journey with him. Verse 1, surely God is good to Israel, to those who are pure of heart. Well, that's a good beginning. And then the grammar begins. But, whenever you see but, that means there's an exception, a contrast. He's not including himself in what he just said. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I had nearly lost my foothold. For I envied the arrogant. Here's our first clue that he's getting his words jumbled up. He talks about God either being good to everyone in Israel or good to the pure of heart, but he doesn't include himself in either one of those. Either God's not good to everyone, or maybe he's not pure of heart, but he doesn't include himself. Instead, he says, for I envied the arrogant when I saw their prosperity. They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. They're free from common human burdens. They're not plagued by humans like human ills. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? There once was a queen, a stepmother, if you will, who used to ask her mirror for feedback. On a daily basis, she would ask, and it would always say, oh, you, queen, you're the fairest of them all. But then one day, it said, well, queen, there's someone else in the land who's fairer than you. I cannot lie. Well, you know who that queen was. She wanted to smack that mirror, and she fashioned a poison apple, wanted it delivered by a huntsman. And when she had no more competitors, then she wanted the heart of it removed and brought to her on a platter. That is the definition of envy. The old Latin word, seeing evil into someone. The witch's dark heart, seeing evil onto the snow white canvas, the innocent child. And in our read through this psalm, we meet someone who is aware that his mind has been on others. Because if you follow from verse 3 onward, for I've envied the arrogant when I saw their prosperity, it goes on for 15 more times. They and them, their pain and their pride. It just goes on and on. They scoff, their tongues. They say, how would God know? How does the Most High know anything in verse 11? And then something happens. The helium balloon of envy, which has ruined his day. The fumbling through of his words, which began with God's good to Israel, but I, and then they. This painful story of being crushed upon the haves. Clearly, Asaph is one of the have-nots. And maybe we just need to pause for a second to acknowledge that maybe this is what it feels like to be under a load. Maybe this is what it feels like to have others in control of your world and your well-being. In verse 16, things get soft. The balloon is nearly empty of all of its hot air. And when I tried to understand all of this prosperity of the wicked, it troubled me deeply. Of course it did. Friends, we're not wired to take on the pains, the concerns of the whole world. In short order, when we lose focus of that which sets our heart free, that which we love, and we know that we love a thing when an object is so valuable that it has a fundamentally controlling influence on us, controlling who our friends are, what we love and what we see, what we talk about. It even influences what we hate. And of course he was troubled. But in verse 16, everything changes. It says until, verse 17, until I entered the sanctuary of God. Then I understood their destiny. The what I wish I could have said syndrome is now breaking open into some clarity. He's coming back to his senses. You see, it's that time of year when many of us visit the church out of tradition or nostalgia. We do it for the kids because it's Easter. Maybe there's an Easter egg hunt planned. Whatever got you to the sanctuary of God, you've gotten to the place where our loves get sorted out. And when our loves get sorted out, our lives get sorted out. Till I entered the sanctuary of God, then I understood their final destiny. Now listen to the pronouns. Watch how the parts of speech change. Listen for the word you. Not I, not them. Verse 18, surely you placed them in slippery ground. You cast them down to ruin. How suddenly they are destroyed, completely swept away by terrors. They're like a dream when one awakens and when you arise. O Lord, you will despise them as fantasies. And when my heart was grieved and my spirit was embittered, I was senseless and ignorant. Now hang on, he slipped into talking about himself again. I. But listen what he refers to now, because now he's in the sanctuary. He's inside of the place where love gets sorted out. I was senseless and ignorant. I was like a brute beast. Hey, bro, be easy on yourself. No, this is all it means. What's a brute beast like? The rational brain has been deprioritized. Doesn't have one, a brute beast. It's fight, or freeze. Flight, fight, freeze. That's what brute beasts are like. Survival instincts. The dignified self is not accessible any longer. Yet, I am always with you, in verse 23. The I that we're hearing about now is embedded in something that will do it well. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will take me into glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And the earth has nothing I desire besides you. Remember the whole they thing? The whole headline news thing? He's over that. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. And he's talking about himself again. Now that's legitimate, because the simple commandment is love your neighbor as you love yourself, and love God with all neighbor. And we see the whole commandments fulfilled right here. Those who are far from you will perish. You destroy all who are unfaithful to you. In other words, they're not my concern. You got this. But as for me, as for the thing that I can concern myself with, it's good to be near to God. I've made the sovereign Lord my refuge. He's somewhere else. He's in that sanctuary. He's in the place where love gets sorted out, and it's quiet in there. And I will tell all your deeds. You remember that what I wish I would have said syndrome? He had to go all around Mississippi to get all the way back to where he started in verse 1. That surely God's good, that his deeds are worth talking about. And we get back to sanity again. After this long and dark and painful and envious excursion of leaving ourselves, comparing ourselves and envying what we found there, and then eventually leaving the heavy burden in the relief of getting our love sorted out.